Hey everyone, James Wilson here with MTB Strength Training Systems and BikeJames.com. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. I've woke up yesterday with a little bit of a head cold, so not going to be quite as high energy as I usually am. But I wanted to actually take this opportunity to talk to you guys about some strategies for dealing with overtraining, and part of that is also dealing with sickness, either getting sick, kind of causing the overtraining, or with vice versa. So around this time of year, especially for me, I'm a parent, so I've got a kid who's in kindergarten. They get exposed to stuff, and so even though I eat healthy, I'm trying to be healthy myself. You get exposed to more stuff this time of year, and so it's kind of one of the things that you need to keep in mind is we're wanting to be ramping up our training. Everybody talks about the off season is a great time to start working on building your base and your training. But you also have to be able to manage that stress, manage things that come along with it, and not end up overtraining and getting the setbacks that come along with that. And so being consistent with your training is super important. And so first off, like, what is overtraining? And basically overtraining is just the balance of energy being tipped too far in one direction. So basically your body has to deal with stress. And stress can be from training, it can be from riding your bike, it can be from getting sick, or dealing with something stressful happening at work or with the family. All of these things require energy for your body to have to deal with, and it only has so much energy to put into certain stuff, and so it also needs to recover. So not only do you have to deal with that in the moment, put energy towards that, but you also have to put energy towards recovering from that, and hopefully, in the case of training, getting better. So it's this energy management. And again, overtraining tends to happen when we're working too hard. We've got all these other stress factors going on, and we don't have enough energy to put towards recovery, and we end up just kind of driving off of this cliff, and your body ends up, it'll make you take time off. Like, trust me, your body, if you don't take time off and listen to it, it'll force you to take time off. You'll end up getting injured. You'll end up getting sick. There's just all sorts of things. Anybody who's ever driven themselves off the cliff of like real overtraining knows, like, it sucks. It takes a while to get back from it. So you want to avoid that. So what are some things that you can do to help avoid that? One of the simplest things that you can do is to measure your resting morning heart rate. That's a really good indicator. If you see that your morning resting heart rate, especially if it's going up, rises by more than like 5 beats per minute, that's a pretty good indicator that your body's under more stress than usual. And so again, that one's been a tried and true one. People have used that morning resting heart rate for a while to do that, and so it's a good one to use, and doesn't take a lot of equipment. But something that I've been using on and off over the years is measuring my heart rate variability. And heart rate variability, or HRV is for short, is basically, it looks at the time between the beats of your heartbeat. So for example, if you average 60 beats per minute, you don't want your heart beating like a metronome. You don't want it going exactly 1 beat every second. That's excuse me, an indicator that you're under a lot of stress, actually. And so what you want is for it to be like 54, 52, 62, 58, and so the actual, the heart rate actually changes, and then it'll have an average of X over that. But that variability from beat to beat, what's known as the RR wave, is your heart rate variability. And by taking a look at that, you can, there's some algorithms and stuff. This was originally designed, I believe, for by the Soviet space program to measure the stress and how the cosmonauts were reacting to certain stress factors. But by taking a look at your heart rate variability, that distance between the RR waves, you can get an idea of where your nervous system, your parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system, which one of those are dominant. Basically, your fight or flight, are you dealing with stress in the moment, or your rest and relax? Are you able to put stress or put energy into recovering from what you've done? And so you can see which one of those is dominant by taking a look at your heart rate variability. So a tool that I've been using lately, see if I can get it to come up on my phone here. It's called Morpheus. Trainwithmorpheus.com is the website, and this is the second generation of BioForce. And this is Joel Jamieson's creation, or whatever you want to call it. But BioForce, I've done a couple blog posts and talked about BioForce a lot, quite a few times in the past. And I've used it and I really liked it, but just for several reasons stopped using it. But this next generation that he has, this Morpheus, is pretty cool. I'll show you guys the app, the screenshot that it gives you. But basically, each morning you wake up and you take your heart rate for 2.5 minutes. It comes with a little band that you can put on your forearm or your calf. You can use a chest strap as well, or certain chest straps will allow you to use it as well. But it measures your heart rate for 2.5 minutes. And so along with getting your average heart rate, which is the first thing I talked about, it also gets enough data for it to measure that RR wave and give you a heart rate variability score. And so again, by looking at both the heart rate and the heart rate variability score, and other factors, it's pretty cool because it hooks into like your Fitbit or Google Fit or your Apple Watch or whatever, so it'll track your steps and other activities. So it tracks a lot of different factors, your sleep. You can give it as little or as much data as you want. And the more data that it gives you, the better it can, better it can give you an idea of where you are recovery-wise. So for example, you can see that today I'm at 48% recovery, which is actually an improvement. Yesterday I woke up and I was at 11% recovery. I thought that meant that I was practically dead. My HRV had dropped from 90 the day before down to 67. And it's funny because I woke up in the morning and I was like, man, I don't feel too bad. And then this thing's like, yo, dude, you are not doing well. There's something going on behind the scenes. And sure enough, later the afternoon, again, you can say like, well, did it plant the seed in your mind? I don't know, right? But all I know is I started to feel like, wow, I do have a little bit of a head cold. My wife's been dealing with one for about a week. Like I said, my kid came home with one a week ago. So it would make sense that my body it was trying to fight this thing off. And so I would have woke up yesterday and trained, done something. But by having this tool telling me, hey, man, no, you're not up to par. There's something going on below the surface that maybe you don't feel yet. It helped me avoid burying myself because my body's dealing with in the moment, dealing with trying to get over or fight off being sick. And so it's not going to have the energy to put into recovering if I trained yesterday. So a training session yesterday would have been, a waste. And so there are things though, there are some strategies and things that you can use to help improve your recovery. So again, if you see that your recovery is off, then there are things you can do. And so specifically like active recovery workouts, that's another thing I like about this app because it actually gives you, see if I can get you can see like it'll give you heart rate zones based on your data and also where your recovery is. And so these will adjust based on your recovery level, which makes sense because I've always thought that these, your heart rate's going to change, these things. So you get like, you go and take this test and you get like, oh, here's where my, lactate threshold is, and here's where all these numbers are. But they change from day to day, right? Like that was a snapshot into what that day was. And I've talked about this before, like you got to be careful with testing because testing is just a snapshot at where you were at that specific time. And what you really want to see are trends and things like that. And so, but your heart rate and the training loads that are associated with it will adjust based on your recovery levels and sleep and things like that and overall stress. And so having this tool that allows you to adjust your training to accommodate that, and you'll see that one of the ones that it gives you there at the bottom, I don't know if you can see anyways, the blue one is recovery, right? And so there's a specific recovery workout protocol that you can use using this to make sure that you don't go into your conditioning or overload zone and start putting too much stress on the body. So it allows you to do an actual active recovery workout, basically getting into that blue recovery zone and staying there for like 15 to 30 minutes, doing some breathing and some stretching and some things that try to get the body recovering and moving in the right direction there. So again, it's not always just rest, although it can be, because I definitely caught a couple extra naps yesterday. Once I started to feel a little sick, I was like, sheets, I'm just going to rest and get over this as quick as I can. But again, having the tool to let me know I wasn't just being a wuss, because there are days you wake up and you're like, man, I don't feel good. But having some objective data to say, hey, you're okay, you can train, and you're not going to drive yourself off the edge, it helps. And so there are some other things that having, especially the heart rate variability, I find really interesting. Specifically, you can tell based on if it's going up or down, right? If your HRV drops, then you know that you're becoming more sympathetic nervous system dominant, and if it rises, you're becoming more parasympathetic. And so you can kind of see how your body is responding and which way it's going, and you can use different recovery tactics based on where you're going. So for example, cold, like using ice, an ice bath, that is going to be a bad idea if you're already sympathetic nervous system dominant. Like, it has a real strong sympathetic nervous system response. And so you don't want to do that if you're already overtrained in that direction. So using something like hot water, like a hot tub therapy or something like that, that has a strong parasympathetic nervous system response. And so you can actually use, and this is something that with the Morpheus app, you get some guidelines to this, to where you're using specific recovery strategies based on where you're at with it, and not just applying things blindly, like always applying hot, heat, or always applying cold, or knowing which one's going to help you move in the direction that you want to go. It has a lot of value as well. So anyways, like I said, the idea is to manage your energy wisely, and so making sure that you have enough energy to recover from the stress that your body is going through. And again, this is the thing that people tend to forget, is that it's not just training, it's not just riding your bike. Your body has to deal with stress, mental stress from just daily life, again, like having to fight off or dealing with being sick. Just there's all sorts of other things that factor in. And I've said this before to a lot of my clients, like, man, your performance on the day that you walk in, when you find out that you won the lottery and you got $10 million, is going to be a lot different than when you walk in and your dog got ran over and you don't know if he's going to make it, and your girlfriend just left you and took your favorite, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, your mental state affects your physical performance because of the stress that you're under, the mental stress. And so having some objective ways to measure how these things are impacting your body can really help you avoid overtraining, which again is super important as we're heading into this time of year, because you want to be doing ramping up your off the bike training. You want to be adding more stress to your body, and some unique stress as well, right? Like, you want to be doing strength training and things, really focus on getting stronger and doing some things that your body's not necessarily as used to doing, which is the point of off-season training, filling in these gaps and making sure these things are where we need them to be to stay healthy and fit for the next season and continue to improve your performance. But you're also having to deal with being indoors more people around you, more people being sick. And so just being able to balance all of these things really helps. And so having something, even if it's just measuring your morning heart rate. There's also, with my Ultimate MTB workout program, I have a recovery and training tracking spreadsheet that allows you to track some other things that, again, they're a little subjective, but just having seen where trends are going really helps. And so just having something that allows you to track that. But again, I really like the Morpheus thing. I've had really been enjoying that for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I encourage you to do something to make sure that you're tracking your recovery and your training, so you can avoid overtraining and just stay on top of that. So anyways, if you guys have any questions about this, leave them in the comments. If you've got any suggestions or ideas for other topics you want to see me cover, or just questions in general for helping you training, riding, whatever it is, man, I'm always happy to help. But you can hit me up at james@bikejames.com. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed this, and I will talk to everybody next week and hopefully be feeling a little bit better as well. So talk to you later.